we would have massive uprisings there would be the mob and trying to, as they start to discover the elite, they would start attacking. They would be like, why can't we have this too? They'd find out about what's going on. And then the elite would be like, no, you can't have this, because if we let everybody have this and destroy the world, we'd have all sorts of problems.
So, specific to Infinity Blade. So those are kind of all the ideas that we kind of came up with. And that's kind of how we see the Deathless. So let's start with, I guess, the Worker of Secrets a little bit. So the Worker of Secrets, we think, has been around for a long, long time. And if Infinity Blade was real, which it's not, Infinity Blade's not real. If it was real, he would already have been around a long, long time in 2014. He's been around for a while. And this technology of immortality isn't necessarily a new thing. And it's maybe what has caused a lot of our mythologies and legends about the Greek gods, or even some of the Egyptian gods, or kind of other things that are out there, are these rumors, or even maybe the ideas of superheroes that are popular in our films and comics today come from these rumors and these ideas that maybe there are the remnants of immortals that maybe used to be more prevalent on Earth.
So almost perhaps to say that this current world is almost like an incarnation of one of the world's experiments.
Yeah, because as we know, the Worker has destroyed the Earth other times. So however many times he's done this, he's done it multiple times and kind of pushed reset on the world, and regrown it, and he's been around through all of those incarnations.
And we kind of see the Worker as, I don't want to go too much into his exact specific motivations, but I think he really is to us the apex immortal, someone who has been around long enough that he really is trying to understand the limits of what he himself can do, and has kind of gotten to the point where he is very interested in observing and seeing all sorts of things throughout the world, and it's why he's experimenting a lot. And not to say that he hasn't done it before, but in this experiment, or at least the experiment you start to read about in the second book, he's decided, I'm going to share this, and I'm not going to totally just be like, here's how we make immortals, but it's what happens if I allow it to happen? What happens if I allow some people to be immortal? What will that mean? What shape will that take on? And in Infinity Blade 1, 2, and 3, we're seeing kind of, at least in his viewpoint, the end of that, or the end result of that, where we have a world that has been decimated, right? Decimated even in the sense of where the word decimation comes from, where the Deathless, kind of what Jeremy was talking about, have completely eradicated the mortal population, leaving only a few people left because they still want servants, they still want to bear some technology. Like the God King isn't out making his own castle, right? He still has people doing that for him, But so they need some mortals, but they keep the population in check, and they've split up the Earth among themselves to basically rule in these feudal systems on their own, while they still have their own wars and their own things. But the interesting thing that happened is, at some point in Deathless time, in the not too distant past, something happened that the Worker didn't anticipate. He didn't quite anticipate what Alsar was going to do to him. He didn't anticipate getting locked in the Vault of Tears. And
how did that go down exactly? How was he able to trick him?
So I don't want to give too much away, but we can give some of what's going on that we've kind of alluded to. So in the beginning kind of prelude to Infinity Blade 3, where we have the Worker kind of talking over the animation we did with Ben Hidden. Now, granted, that's the Worker talking to a sword, right? So, and it's totally his viewpoint, right? But at some point, the Worker decided that things were getting maybe out of hand's the wrong word, but he decided that
he wanted a method for more precise control over the Deathless.
And so he he devised a way to create a way to kill the Deathless, thus the Infinity Blade. So he through a very complicated process that I'm not going to really elaborate on, he created the Infinity Blade, and in so doing, he needed help, and he and Alsar were in a very complicated alliance to gain more control over the Deathless. But they're still, conspiring gods, and something went wrong. Something went wrong in the process of creating the Infinity Blade, and that led to, it might have happened anyway, but it led to the worker realizing that in order for the Infinity Blade to actually work correctly, it needed to be attuned to a Deathless QIP before it could actually work, and that the only way for that to happen would be to attune that over a long period of time, over and over again. And I'm kind of getting off track a little bit, but within that happening, Cyrus or Alsar decided to betray the worker, and the worker decided to betray Cyrus.